Welcome to the Longest Take podcast. Thank you for tuning in to the Longest Take podcast. In today's episode, we are joined by Jose Prendes. Jose is a passionate filmmaker, screenwriter, and author whose work spans horror, science fiction, and cult cinema. Jose has written and directed films like The Haunting of Whaley House, Mega Shark vs. Mecha Shark, and The Divine Tragedies. And most recently, you catch his film Morgan Killer Doll on video on demand on Amazon Prime, Vudu, all those fun little apps and streaming services. Please welcome Jose to today's episode. All right, so first things first, what are your top 5 favorite movies?
Gosh, top 5. Okay, so there's 2 movies that fight it out for the top spot. So I'll have to divide them. Number 1, It's a Wonderful Life. Number 2, Jaws. And then it gets kind of murky because there's so many movies I love. But I'll say 3, Scream. 4, Monster Squad, and 5. Gosh, that's a movie that I've discovered fairly recently, but it absolutely moved me, and I watch it now every time I direct something. It's a Russian film shot in my home country of Cuba. It's called I Am Cuba, and it is phenomenal. That movie blows me away every time I watch it. Incredible camera work on that.
Yeah, and the big thing about I Am Cuba, and I think I have the 4K somewhere. I think Criterion recently did a 4K of it. Yeah, and the oneer in it is incredible for the time, and just when you watch it, just the movement, you know how they're going through the town center and everything. It's fantastic.
The first time I saw it, I'm like, no way. I watched it like 5 times. I'm like, how are they doing? It's like magic. I mean, there's another, one of the first stories, there's a camera move where this guy's just slept with a prostitute and they're following him through the streets. And then the camera just suddenly rises. You're like, where would they have put a crane? There's no place to put, oh my God. It's like they handed the camera to an angel and that was operating. It's insane. Such a good movie.
Yeah, fantastic, and really ahead of its time, because that was that the 50s or 60s when it was?
Oh, I'm so bad with years, but it feels like 60s probably.
60s, yeah. Oh, I wish I had it right here so I could just grab it, but I don't know where I put it. I don't have any order with my movies behind me, but yeah, it's still, as you could tell by the name, The Longest Take. I'm a big fan of like long takes in movies. Oneers, long, continuous shots, and
good. Then it's funny because I was gonna mention that I just did my first oneer actually on my new movie, so we can discuss that a little later.
Oh man, I'm hyped. That's like one of my favorite things. I just shot a short in March, and it's a 16-minute oneer. It's 2 people talking. We're not following them, they're following us, but we're just walking through like a downtown area, and they're just talking for 16 minutes. But the impressive part is the leads being able to memorize all of that, because that's 15 pages of dialogue. So I love like oneers, so I can't wait to see what you do with that. And
dude, amazing. Share that short with me when you have it ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And the Monster Squad, I think that's the only one I'm not familiar with what you listed. I feel like I'll know if I saw like a poster. I'm just off the top. I can't think of what it is.
I'm shocked, dude. It's one of the great 80s movies of all time. It's kids versus Universal monsters. It's so good. I highly recommend you put that on your list. I have a feeling you will absolutely adore that movie. It's so it's Goonies, but they're fighting like Dracula and the Wolfman. I mean, it's so good, so dang good.
Do you happen to know who directed, or if there's any notable cast?
Fred Decker directed. Written by Shane Black.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm blanking on the guy who plays Frankenstein, but he's a really great. He plays the axe guy in Last Action Hero. I'm blanking on his real name, but Yeah, I think he's probably the biggest name. Stephen Mocked, who was in some genre fare. But yeah, Monster Squad. I think you'll look. Halloween's coming up. Absolutely track that down, and it's good for kids too. So share it with your 6-year-old. My kids have seen it like multiple times. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun too. Especially like 80s. Oh, Tom Noonan, he's Frankenstein's monster.
Noonan.
Okay,
Yep, Noonan.
Yep, definitely know him. But yeah, no, it sounds like a fun, because this was around the time that Shane Black would have written Predator, right? He was just on a.
No, this was no, because did he write? He write the first Predator? That's right. I think this is. Gosh, I don't know on the dates on that. I think. I don't know.
And I'll have to double check if he wrote Predator, because I know he was in it. But now
he was in it. I think he wrote dialogue for it. I think he just wrote jokes
that's
for
what it was. Okay, yep, you're right. And then he came back to direct The Predator, which I wasn't too big of, but
no, we don't talk about that.
Yeah, we don't talk about that one. Luckily, they bounced back. I love what they're doing now with that series, but
yeah, same.
So, to kind of take it back from the beginning, your earliest directorial effort was The Monster Man in 2001, which is over 20 years, which is insane in the business. What was your introduction into film, and what drove you to be a director?
Let's see. I was an only child, and I was left alone a lot, and I guess I just gravitated to movies and books and TV, and just that make-believe world spoke to me, and I think a lot of creative people find that movie magic, can speak to certain people in a different way, and it spoke to me. It's like, hey, come and be a part of the club. You belong over here. And I remember watching movies with my friends, and I was analyzing it from a different level, and they were analyzing it from like, oh man, that was cool. You see the explosion? I go, yeah, but plot wise, that didn't make any sense because he just said blah 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 blah. And they're like, no man, you're ruining it. It's fun. It's just fun. It's whatever. It's explosions. So getting to understand movies on a cellular level, and really loving that the not just the process of enjoying the movie, but the process of making a movie, it felt very, very special to me, and something that I early on I felt like I belonged in that world, and that was my goal since I was the first thing I remember that I ever wanted to be in my life. Like, I want to be a movie person, and I thought I wanted to be an actor. Obviously, when you're a kid, you want to play RoboCop, you want to you want to be Indiana Jones, you want to do all the Superman, you want to do all the stuff. But as you get older, I mean, at least for me, the real power is in the making, is in the creating and the writing, and telling RoboCop what to do instead of being the guy in the suit that has to sweat it out. So writing and directing just became, that's a no-brainer. That's how you. I want to make movies. That's how you make movies. And I had friends that I coerced into being in my short films, and that's how you practice. And then film school came about, and right after film school, I didn't want to go to college. Actually, I just wanted to make movies, because I felt like that's really where the experiences was. And I read a lot of books, and most people were saying, don't go to film school, just make a movie, use that money to make a movie. And I was going to do that, but my parents wanted me to do some kind of higher learning. So I did film school, got an associate's degree for like a 2-year program, a school that doesn't exist anymore in Miami. But I, learned the lingo, met some contacts, made some friends. And then right after that, I made Monster Man. I go, okay, now's the time. I got to make something. And to this day, this little movie I shot on DV with all my friends as cast and crew, is my favorite filmmaking experience. It was perfect. Like, nothing went wrong with it. And every movie I've made has had some kind of issue. But this is and it was nice that my first movie, it was not only a sort of perfect experience for me, a golden experience, like cementing, this is what you're going to do. But that it also got distribution, because a lot of first movies don't even get to see the light of day. But at least this one, it was in Blockbuster, which blew my mind back in the day. And this is a little thing I did with my friends, and with the hopes of bigger and better. But it was a culmination of a lot of things, and I'm it wasn't a big success, but it was enough to show me that I could do it,
Yeah, and that's always awesome to be able to do it with your friends, because I mean, even when I was in like elementary school, there was this thing called the digital blue, which was like a really crappy like you couldn't export anything you filmed on it. You could only like edit it and play it within the software. But playing around with stuff like that, it's such like a center point, back then. So when you were wrapped on Monster Man, did you hold like a little premiere for it at like someone's house where you invited friends and family over and you just popped it on the TV? Did you ever get to play it in a theater, perhaps?
We did have a premiere at my house with a couple. It was actually at my birthday party, and I told people it wasn't ready yet. I said, "Well, let's just watch a movie. I'll throw on something. We'll watch a movie." And then it was the movie, and everyone goes, "Oh my god!" I go, "Yeah, it's ready, guys." So that was great because we all got to celebrate and watch it together. They were surprised because they thought the movie was, it's still in editing. We didn't. We technically got a theatrical premiere at a convention. It showed at a couple of conventions. So the screening rooms they have.
Yeah.
We get to have a couple of convention screenings, which is super fun. Just hearing the audience because it's a very broad Naked Gun style comedy. So getting that reaction, hearing people laughing and really enjoying it live is a treat. And it's always nerve-wracking to show it to an audience. But when people are digging it, it's there's no better feeling in the world, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had read, I think on IMDb or something, that you thanked the creator of Marshmallows because that was like that was carrying you through the production of Monster Man. So my follow up to that is like, do you have similar crutches when you make movies even nowadays? Like there's certain things that you're like, all right, I need this or else it's going to throw off my equilibrium. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I love Marshmallows to this day. It's absolutely my favorite thing. As you get older, your body reacts to things differently. I would have said Famous Amos chocolate chip cookies, incredible, but I can't have them anymore because now I've got gluten intolerance, so I can't eat the goddamn Famous Amos, and I'm so upset about that because it was my favorite cookie. And that was the one thing I would ask, to have on set. But marshmallows have not become a set food. I think, honestly, it's the busier you are, the less time you have to snack. I don't really, I drink coffee offset. Like, if I'm at home, I'll drink 5 cups. But on set, I'm already so wired by, having to put this thing together in a limited amount of time and money that I don't drink any coffee. And I see everybody just sipping coffee, and I'm like, I don't need it. It's so strange. So I've actually decided that I have no more crutches in terms of food. It's just sort of it's all my focus and attention is on the movie.
Yeah, and you're all ready to go. You're set. You're wired. You don't need anything else. I feel that. I believe your first project with the Asylum was The Haunting of Whaley House back in 2012, a project that you directed. You've also written quite a few projects for the Asylum. What was your introduction to them, and how has the experience been to work with them? Your 2024 film, I read that Monster Mash, I read that it was a production of theirs. So that also, kind of what I was talking about before with your tenure in the industry. I mean, that's 10 years plus with the Asylum specifically.
Yeah, I discovered I knew about them, through the back in the day in Blockbuster, you would see these movies pop up, and I'm like, what the hell is this? It's War of the Worlds, but is this like the Tom Cruise? This can't be like the Tom Cruise one because I know that's still in theaters. And then you'd pick it up and like, oh, it says Asylum on the back. Oh, what is this? And then so they early on developed a reputation for what's called mockbusters. We prefer the term now tie-in, which I think is nicer. And so that's how I sort of knew about them. I made my second film. I shot it on 35 millimeter, which I'm lucky to be one of the few people that I know filmmaker-wise who've been able to shoot on film. It was called Corpses Are Forever. And it was James Bond meets zombies. That was kind of the concept. And that was my last time as an actor. But I had fun because I got to, do my dream role, basically playing James Bond and shooting zombies. So that was pretty good. And I was looking for a distributor. Asylum was one of the people I reached out to, and they responded, and they wanted to take it, and I was like, oh, great. And it's going to get in Blockbuster. Fantastic. So that's how that relationship started. And then when I moved out to LA with my wife, we'd been married a year, and I'm like, look, if I'm really going to pursue this film thing, I can't stay in Miami. There's, we have family and friends here, but there's really no way to get the kind of jobs I need. And at the time, it was before we had children, before, she was in film as well. And so we're like, yeah, let's do it. It sounds like the best thing to do right now is just to move and at least try it out. Luckily now we've been here for 18 years. God, yeah, 18. Yeah, about 18, almost 19 years. Luckily it's worked out. As soon as I moved out here, tried a couple things, tried to get some scripts sold. Nothing was really gelling. It's really difficult, especially if you have coming with no connections. And then we got pregnant with our first child, and I was like, well, I need to find some kind of work, and I don't want to just do temp stuff. I didn't come out here to do, be a barista or whatever. So I remember Asylum. I had the connection over there. I don't know if they'd remember me, but they took me in with open arms, and I'm, to this day, I'm very grateful for them that they're still employing me. I wanted to write and direct, but when you come in, it's like, oh, we'll start you out on something, and we'll see if you gel with us or whatever. I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. So I did some line producing for them, which is really difficult to do. I didn't like that side of it. But then luckily the next thing was a writing gig came up, and so I wrote something called Countdown Jerusalem, which is a religious kidnapping thriller, which was kind of fun. That was back then when they had a little more money, so they actually filmed part of it, and they actually went to Israel and they filmed there.
Wow.
Which I didn't go, but they did. So that was kind of neat. And then just kind of one thing led to another. I went away for a little bit to focus on some other stuff. Then I came back, and then Whaley House presented itself, and they were I was like, hey, I want to do a horror movie whenever something comes up. Let's, please keep me in mind for that. Because at that time, they were doing more shark movies, disaster movies, which they still are. But they really started in horror. So that's why they're called the Asylum, because they used to be horror. So Whaley House popped up, and they gave me a chance to direct. And that was another really kind of nice golden experience, because I got all the actors were friends of mine, actors who had been wanting to work with for a while. So I got to work with actors that I loved, and characters that I had really fun writing. We had time to shoot the movie. It was a 12-day shoot, which isn't enough, but it's still a lot more than I'm getting nowadays. But yeah, Whaley House was my first official directorial thing for them.
Awesome. And I know you mentioned it, how now you call it a tie-in movie, not a mockbuster. Is that's something internally then that, the Asylum kind of speaks about it, or do they have a different thing that they refer to their films as?
Oh, we go with tie-in. It's like, like now, I don't know if I can, I probably can't say, but we're working on a couple of tie-ins, and it's like, hey, there's this movie coming out. We'd like to do something like that. We'd like to tie into that. And, our job, at least the audience should know, the filmmakers never want to rip anything off. That's not our goal. Our goal is just we love making movies, and we want to make movies,
Right.
And this is would I rather be, making a Marvel movie or Oppenheimer or something? Absolutely. But the opportunities are what the opportunities are, and it's either sitting at home or making a movie, and I'd rather make a movie. So they come to me with, hey, we want to, for example, my Exorcist movie. The David Gordon Green Exorcist reboot was coming out. And they're like, hey, we want to do an Exorcist movie. I'm like, great, I've always wanted to do one. Let me tackle that. And then my Exorcist movie was their biggest movie of that year, which I'm very proud of, because I think it came out really well. We shot in 6 days, but it looks like $1 million. So I had a great DP and everything. But yeah, internally we call them tie-ins, and we never want to, piss anybody off or rip anybody off. We're trying to make genuine, original movies that just so happen to be packaged in a certain way,
Yeah, and I feel that. And honestly, the way that I look at it, especially nowadays, there's like a charm to it, and I feel like it's more a celebration of modern cinema as opposed to like trying to rip it off. Like, I feel like there's an element of like, you guys appreciate, these projects that are coming out that, you're just like, oh, like I kind of want to play in that same sandbox. And I think that there's a reason that the Asylum is still around. You know what I mean? Like, people, there's a charm to it, and there's an audience for it. And
yeah,
before I get off of the Asylum, since like Blockbuster and everything went away, how is the business? I mean, this probably isn't that good of a question for you specifically, but how have you noticed kind of like the business model change a little bit with the Asylum? I know there's streaming, right? But no more Blockbuster.
Yeah, that, the biggest change, and as you know, I'm a fan of physical media, and I know you are as well. So it is, the biggest change is they used to release everything on physical, man. They used to have Blu-rays, everything. Now they do not. Now it's maybe, like, let's say they make 20 movies a year. There's some years they make 30 or maybe more. So, I mean, their output is more than a studio, like Warner Brothers or something, kind of insane. But let's say they make 20 movies, maybe 5 of them get some kind of physical release in the States. Now, there's a company, Eagle Entertainment, I think, out of Australia, that's been releasing my stuff on physical. I actually had to buy 2 of my movies recently because I didn't, I would have gotten free copies if they were US releases. Yeah, the biggest change is no more physical media across the board. It's really specific. Usually the horror movies get one. I think I'm getting one for my Killer Doll movie. But that's been the biggest change. And streaming has given us more. I mean, I'm not privy on the financials, but I think streaming has definitely given us more places to expand in terms of where to show, the movie, or where to, distribute in the movie. And I know internationally, Asylum movies are pretty big. Like my Exorcist movie was just playing in Mexico in theaters like 2 months ago still. And that came out like 2 years ago. So there's life to these things that go beyond what even I'm aware of. But hey, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that. You could hear about that like 2 months ago. Because how long ago did you make that Exorcist movie? It's been quite a few years, right?
I want to say 2022. I think. Yeah, it was a while.
Yeah, so to hear about it actually playing in a cinema, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And talking about production houses that at least this one used to churn out movies like crazy. Full Moon Features, it had shown on your IMDb that you were, at least at one point, supposed to direct a Leech Woman spin-off movie. Is there anything you could talk about with that? Because I've always found her as the most fascinating puppet of the Puppet Master, mythos. So
yeah, that one still hurts to this day. I Full Moon, if I can credit any direct-to-video company for inspiring me to cement, movies. It's 100% movies. It was Full Moon, because they were really the first special features that anyone ever saw. The video zones that at the end of the movies. That was eye-opening, because before that on VHS you wouldn't get any EDKs or featurettes or anything like that. There was nothing like, how do you make it? What does it look like on set? Like in between takes, do people talk to each other? Like, do they stay in character? How does that work? For somebody like me who, really wanted to learn it and be a part of it, getting that peek behind the curtain was, it was life-changing. So I credited Full Moon for really helping shape, who I am and the kind of movies I like to make and things like that. And career-wise, and when the opportunity came up to do a Full Moon movie, and not just any Full Moon movie, but one of the most iconic franchises in their catalog, I was like, absolutely. I met with Charlie, really nice guy, and he's like, "Oh, we want you to do the Leech Woman spinoff movie." I'm like, "Great," honestly, not a character that I mean, I'm more of a Blade 6-shooter guy, but I think that's because they're like the most fun. But the more I thought about, and I'll give you a sneak peek as to what my approach would have been. The more I thought about Leech Woman, the more I thought, wow, yeah, this could be really interesting because if the thing is, her backstory has been kind of is a little hazy, but she's supposed to be Toulon's wife, and like, where did the leeches come from? Why leeches? So just the fact that we could really unpack that and tell a really interesting story made it very exciting. There were script issues that I think really needed to be addressed. I pitched a version which I thought would have, in my opinion, would have been the most epic Puppet Master movie ever made, and would have made Leech Woman everybody's favorite. But then the project just kind of quietly died. So unfortunately, I have no updates. It may happen down the line, but I think now he's doing his noir movies, or not noir. He's doing the noir updates, and then he's doing whatever the digital ones. He's doing like the streaming Death Streamer and
Quadrant.
Forget the other ones. Yeah, Quadrant. I have an actor friend who I worked with who was in Quadrant. So he's doing these AI type movies now, and I think that's kind of what he's focused on. So who knows? Leech Woman may live to fight another day. I'm still trying to stay in touch and say, hey man, I still want to do something with you guys. But who knows? Who knows? It's up in the air, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel that. That's the business, right? I saw Charles Band at Flashback Horror Weekend over here in Chicago. He was just here this past weekend. He always gets a booth for Full Moon features. And who's the actor friend that was in Quadrant?
Her name is Emma Reinagel.
Okay.
She's got she's the redhead in that. She's one of the scientists in Quadrant.
Oh, okay. Because it's funny because this is one of my earlier interviews I did for this podcast. I interviewed Shannon Barnes, who is the main character in Quadrant. She's the Jack the Ripper lady in it.
Yeah.
She's also great. Can't wait to see what she does. But yeah, that's a cool little small world moment with that.
It is. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, if it comes up again, I hope they refer back to you for it. I don't know.
I hope so.
Because I would like to see that.
And it was gonna be a return to blood and boobs full moon. That's what I wanted to do. Something really really operatic and bloody, and I think it would have been a lot of fun. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. If he decides to go back to that, yeah. So another really cool project in your filmography I came across was the Ed Wood, the unspeakable horror movie about documentary about Ed Wood's Plan 9. You've got some great interviews in there with people such as like Joe Dante. How did you pitch this project, or how did it come to you? It's a fascinating exploration of the Ed Wood movie, but with a little bit of a twist with the whole conspiracy angle. Also, we have a large part of the cinematic zeitgeist dedicated to the love for bad movies, which I feel like there's an art to it that was almost pioneered by someone like Ed Wood. So I know that's kind of a loaded question, but just kind of how did this project come to you, or how did you come to it?
We had my wife and I were watching Room 237, and these people were like picking apart The Shining, and I just said, it'd be funny if somebody like did this, but for like an objectively bad movie, something that like obviously there's nothing going on behind the scenes, or there's no secret messages or anything. It's just kind of a crap movie, like something like Plan 9 from Outer Space. And then she laughed, and then it just kind of sat in my head, and like, how would I do that? That would be kind of funny. And I've never done documentary filmmaking before, or mockumentary work, and I just sort of started piecing together the idea, and the more I thought about it, the more I loved it, and kind of the idea of, getting real people, real industry people to, wax philosophically about Plan 9, and then also concoct this crazy conspiracy theory on the movie that Ed Wood was really trying to warn people about the alien invasion and all this stuff. And the reason people call it the worst movie ever is because it's telling the truth, and they're trying to keep it down, they're trying to bury it. And the more I played with it, the more it just made me laugh. And I hadn't really been able to do comedy since Monster Man, and I really love comedy. In a lot of my movies, I try to put humor whenever possible. I think it's a crucial ingredient. And so we just kind of played with it. We kind of figured out, well, how much would it cost to do this? I mean, if we do it ourselves, she would edit. I'd just go out and shoot the interviews, and I just reach out to people and see if they would do it. And I forget how I got Joe Dante, actually, but I think it was a friend of a friend reached out to Joe, and the idea was, hey, I'm basically doing a mockumentary about Plan 9 from outer space, but the catch is that Ed Wood was secretly like a prophet, and he's kind of he was in on the alien thing, and he's telling the world about the truth, and everybody knows, everyone in Hollywood knows, and this is just kind of the expose to tell people, hey, this movie isn't, a bottom of the barrel, schlock. This is how it really went down. And the only person who turned me down was John Landis.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think he would have been perfect, but he's the only one to turn me down. But pretty much everybody was like, yeah, sounds good. And I got to interview Scott and Larry, who wrote the Ed Wood movie for Tim Burton. Brian Usna, so many people. Mick Garris was so good. It was such a fun project. It took probably my longest thing to shoot. It took about maybe 6 months to put it all together, and I had a ton of fun with that one. And honestly, I'm a defender of Plan 9. I think obviously it's chintzy the way it was made. But, Ed Wood is my spirit animal because he loved making movies. And we're kind of in the same position when, look, obviously he probably would have loved to make studio movies. He probably would have loved to do Wuthering Heights or whatever. But the opportunities he had were the opportunities he had. And are you going to make a movie or not make a movie? And he did the best he could with what he had. And, is his writing great? No. But he loved movies and he wanted to be a part of that world. So I have nothing but respect for Ed Wood. It's my goal was not to make fun of him. I think I was more poking fun at film criticism sometimes. Can get a little heavy-handed and pretentious.
Yep.
Some people reach out to me like, oh, is this the symbolism you meant for this and this? I'm like, yeah, of course I did. But in the back of my mind, I was like, it sounded cool at the time, and maybe subconsciously there was a message, but I just kind of wanted to make something cool at the time. But yeah, Plan 9, I love that project.
Yeah, and I think that there, like what I mentioned before, there, it's almost like a celebration of Ed Wood in that sense. You're not using it to make fun of, you're using it to be like, hey, I love this, and this is like my way of showing that appreciation. And speaking of which, do you think that, if he was making movies within the last 10-15 years, when you have movies really popping off like Sharknado or Tommy Wiseau's The Room is just building a fan base every year, do you think Ed Wood would have been do you think now would have been the generation that would have properly appreciated him?
I don't know. I guess it really depends on the tools he would have access to. I mean, if gosh, that's interesting. I mean, maybe he could have been like an Uwe Boll or something, Blood Rain and House of the Dead. Maybe he could have been something. And not that and I think Uwe is a nice guy, but his films are questionable. Maybe he could have been something along those lines, or he could have been something like the Polonia brothers, or Donald Farmer, guys that just have access to. I mean, I started on DV. There's no reason, guys, to still shoot on DV. If you're a serious filmmaker, guys, don't shoot on video. And I know it's cheaper, but you have to understand, if you have any chance of wanting to market it, wanting to sell it, wanting to go bigger and better, you can upgrade to a red camera, rent it. I mean, not even a red. You can shoot on Blackmagics. They're cameras that look cinematic now. You shouldn't be shooting on low quality video at this point. So I don't know. Maybe Ed Wood would have been a Donald Farmer, or he would have been sort of an Uwe Boll type of guy. It's hard to tell, but I think honestly, I think filmmakers are born in the generations that they're meant to be born. Although I feel like I would have thrived like a son of a bitch in the 80s. I think that, I mean, that's my favorite genre. And if I was able to make movies, oh my God. Yeah, if I could go back in time somehow, but I mean, I wouldn't want to change my life now, but if I could pick growing up in the 80s, I mean, as a kid, it was great. But to be a filmmaker in the 80s would have been insane, because like money was flowing, people were buying the craziest things. You could sell a spec script for $1 million. Nowadays, you're lucky to get anything, near 100,000. I've never been that lucky, but I've just heard of horror stories. Like the money just isn't there anymore, which is sad. It's harder and harder to make a living now.
Yeah, I feel that too. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that one movie that you said you filmed on 35 millimeter back in the 80s, I mean, you would have been able to film all your stuff probably on 35 millimeter. I think that
yep.
And I wanted to ask this earlier, but kind of, were you a part of like the editing process at all with that? Because I've always wondered how difficult it would be to edit on film, unless nowadays you're able to like upload the video to a computer and then edit it from the film reels. I'm not really sure how that all works out, actually.
Well, for this one, we didn't edit on flatbed. I forget what the term is, but basically we digitized the film, and we cut on was it Media 100? No, maybe not. Maybe it was like a Final Cut or something. But we cut on computer, which made it easier. We never went back to cut the negative because we never needed to release it in 35. So I have the negative just sort of intact. Actually, I don't know where the hell it is. I think it's somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, we did that through computers.
Oh, cool. Would you ever go back to trying to shoot on film if you had an opportunity to present it on the 35 negatives?
I'd love to, but I'm kind of with David Cronenberg on this one. Digital is so much easier, yeah. Honestly, and you could really do so much with it. And honestly, I think it looks nicer. I'm not one of these people that love grain. I think grain kind of looks ugly. It's especially when you get a 35 print and then you do a 4K pass on it and the grain is just so loud. I'm like, why did they do that? I feel like it ruins the movie for me because now all I can see is the fucking grain. I'm not a fan of that aesthetic. I mean, I think there's some things that look really great on film, but just the realities of filmmaking nowadays, digital is so much easier. You don't have to worry about changing. You have to change batteries and memory cards, but that's seconds. You don't have to go in a tent and do the film, and that's so much more time consuming. So much more can go wrong with film. Oh, it's it got exposed to light. Oh, we lost a film canister. There's with digital, there's redundancies. Film is one and done, and it's just not conducive to the indie filmmaking space. I think people that do it, good for them, but I think it's more of I don't want to say a pretentious gimmick, but it does kind of feel like, haha, I shot on film. I'm like, well, good. I'm glad you were able to do that, but I think story first and foremost.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I mean, it's honestly at this point, it's just a luxury that not a lot of people, have access to. But I'm with you on the film grain because honestly, I'm one of those psychopaths that when I get a 4K, I want the motion and everything to look like as entirely clear as possible. Like there's not even a TV screen. Like that smooth motion. Everybody always shits on it on the internet. I never understood why, because when I get it on 4K, I'm like, dude, I want it to look like I'm looking through a window, not a TV. The smoother, the better.
Yeah,
that
I'm
soap
with you
opera
on that.
effect. Yeah.
And then audiences today aren't gonna know. Like, wait, was this shot on 35? Oh, I love it more now. No
Right.
one's gonna. They're not gonna really notice. And I think honestly, digital stuff will have a better life in upgrade if there ever is an 8K down the line. Digital stuff's gonna look way better. Stuff shot in the 70s in 4K looks like muddy. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and like you said, it accentuates all the little grain and any other tears or anything that might be in the film itself when you upgrade it. But digital helps, in terms of having like an efficient like business model with getting films made. For instance, you have like The Asylum that you said yourself, 20 to 30 movies a year. Which is insane, which also means that like you got like a very minimal budget to work with, but they're churning them out. It's almost like a movie mill, right? You're able to put stuff out. Full Moon, Roger Corman, all those guys were kind of on that grind, which I love that grind. I think that there's like an admirable efficiency to it. So when you're working on a project, you've got your budget. How has operating within these confines kind of helped you when it comes to maintaining a budget? And after you answer that, what's the biggest budget you've worked with?
Budget is everything. It controls how much time you have, how many actors you can hire, how many days you can shoot, what kind of gear you can rent, what locations you can afford. Budget is, it is the god. And the producers control the budget, and if you can talk to them and hopefully you can reason with them about, for example, most recent movie, right now it's titled The Evil Nun. It might change, but we shot that in June. So I'll give you an example. I started writing that. I knew about it in I want to say April. It's like, hey, we want to do kind of it's an original movie. It's not a tie-in. We want to do a religious horror movie, about a ghost nun, and we want to shoot it like June. So this was April. I'm like, okay. Started putting together ideas. I wrote it in May. We shot it in June. We had 6 days to shoot the movie. Our biggest expense for that was the church. We had to get the producer was adamant that it'd be set in Mexico. We couldn't travel to Mexico, no matter we're close, but obviously that's more expensive than shooting here. Found a perfect location. They actually shot it. They created it for a Walter Hill movie called Extreme Prejudice. So if you know that movie, the third act, that's where we shot.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
Pretty amazing. And it's still in pretty good condition. So the location was expensive, so that raised our budget. I wanted 7 days, but we can only do 6. So it was a run and gun, do or die. Let's make the best damn movie we can. I try to make a movie different every time I approach it. This was my Lucio Fulci, Michele Soave, Italian horror movie. That was my approach anyway. Shot it in 6 days. We had a week and a half to prep it. That included casting, wardrobe, makeup tests, all that stuff. This is just an example of how factory-like it is.
Yeah.
As soon as we finished filming, my editor was cutting, and we had to put together a sort of a rough cut assembly of the whole movie in a week. We did that. We sent, it was like 4 days. Sent that off, and then we had about a week to put together my what they call my director's cut of how I want the movie structured. Then that goes off to one producer. He gives notes. We have a week to do his notes, sometimes less. Then it goes off to another sort of QC, person that they trust, and then we get a week to edit that round of notes. Then it goes to the head producer. He gives us a week of notes, kind of a thing. Which actually we're finishing now on Nun, and the movie is scheduled to come out next month, September. at the end of September. So, once the final producer's notes are done, picture's locked, and then that goes into sound, that goes into scoring. There is a lot of visual effects on this one, so visual effects will start cracking on it. And then we have a sort of a final review screening at the end of August to give our final notes on everything. And then the movie's delivered sometime early September for theatrical. We're going to get a week of theatrical for it, and then VOD. And that'll be, I think, September 30. At least that's the plan. But as an example, so from May to September, that was all one movie. And in that time, they've shot, 2 or 3 other movies that are doing the same thing. So that's an example of sort of how the sausage is made over there.
Yeah, that's impressive. Just like, it's just so like, I've worked in factories for a good chunk of my professional career, and like, something like this, like I'm just thinking of like the line, and it's like you're just, you got the machines up, you got the speeds on the machine up, you got the product moving out the door really fast, and there's definitely something to admire about that. It's going to be hard as hell if they ever want to slow down. I don't think they'll be able to. It's just ingrained in their nature, I don't think it's going to be possible.
No, I mean, and well, like, like in a factory, that the only way the factory makes money is if you have product. So you have to keep making the product to have the money coming in. So it's, catch-22, make the movie to make more movies, you know?
Yep, absolutely. And is this Evil Nun movie the one that has a oneer? You talked about a oneer?
It is.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I finally got to use Steadicam. I've never had, the luxury of it. And we had a Steadicam operator. I'm like, well, we're going to use the shit out of this thing. And, and my initial plan was to have every shot be a oneer.
You should have done that. I would have been so happy.
I would have loved to have done that, but time and also lights. You can't do a oneer if you're in an enclosed space and you have to light the space. We're like, well, I'm gonna see the stand there. I'm gonna see the boom guy. So there's stuff you had to really. There's too much of a ballet, not enough time to figure that out. We did use it as much as we could though, just to cover, because that really helped. But my oneer is about 4 minutes, and it's the opening shot that we intro all the characters, and we only had to do 6 passes on it to get it. But I think it's pretty cool because it's sort of a hidden oneer. It's like you wouldn't really, unless you're paying attention, you wouldn't notice, like, oh man, they haven't cut yet, because there's so much dialogue and there's moving around and then things shift, and now we're sort of in a 2-shot, and now we're so wide. And I love those kind of oneers that really, evolve. It starts off close. We start off, fairly close, and then we pull back, and then we're here, and then we go to this other person, and we're over the shoulder. I love that. I had so much fun with that. I'm glad we were able to do that. And I'm hoping in later movies we're able to do more of that, because I'm with you, man. I think those shots are so magical because they really make you feel like you're in the movie. You never feel like... It makes you feel really alive, and it really adds energy to whatever's happening. So I'm hoping to do more of those.
Yeah, and that makes me so much more excited to watch your project when it comes out. And honestly, I mean, you could always make the argument to the Asylum that, like, if they let you do like a whole movie as just a oneer, there's a chance that you could film it in just a few days if you get it right away. Okay. You know what I mean?
I don't want to tell them that, because then they'll give me less days. No.
Oh, yeah, they'll be like, oh, okay, you could do this in one day. We'll give you 2 or something.
Yeah, no, and then also they love to be able to go in and say, oh, give me a reaction, give me a close up of this or whatever, And then there's times when, like, we have, the reality is we have 10 hours of shooting time. We don't have it's a 12-hour day, but people have to come in. There's makeup, there's wardrobe, there's lighting. We really only have, and then if we have time to break down at the end of the night, then that's less time on our end of shooting. So sometimes, even with 2 cameras, we can only get the coverage we can get, and you have to be judicious as the director going in saying, okay, I've got 30 minutes for this 3-page scene. Here are my more important characters. You and you stand together. It's a 2-shot. Over there, over the shoulder on them, 2-shot. And then if we have time, I'll try and get something else. And you get what you can and try to make it look as interesting as possible. And then, you hope for the best. But then in editing, they're like, oh, is there a close-up of this? No, we had 5 minutes. This is the shot.
Right.
And because there's also there's that disconnect. They don't really know what it's like to shoot something like this. But you do your best to make a great movie. That is the goal. You never want to go in saying, well, I'm just here to make a piece of shit and catch a paycheck, because the paychecks aren't that, they're not gonna buy me a house in Aruba or anything. The paychecks are nice, but it's, really to feed my family and keep a roof over our heads. And honestly, if you love this, you would do it for free, but don't, they don't need to know that.
Right. So what was, are you able to say what, like, in this could be any time in your career, what was the biggest budget that you were allotted? And are you allowed to give like a sum of it? Like,
Yeah. Biggest budget I had, was a film called Blood Brothers, which is an original film, that I made. That was right before my return to Asylum. It was it was the movie I made before Plan 9. It was a serial killer thriller, very David Lynchian. I had so much fun making that. Got to work with Barbara Crampton, Ken Foree. I love them. My buddy Sean Whalen, he's become a dear friend. It was a great cast. Lynn Lowry was in it. I love it. And that wasn't on film. I forget what kind of camera. I'm pretty sure it was like a red camera or something like that. Just a really good team with that one. And that was, I want to say 150, 160K, something like that. Yeah, that's the biggest I've had. Luckily Monster Man was my smallest micro budget, for sure on that one. But I'm sort of in the 100,000, 200,000 space, which, is, obviously I'd rather do $200 million movies, but you get different headaches with those kind of movies,
Right.
The smaller movies, in a way, it's nicer because you get to be more creative, and it feels more like a bonding experience. At the end, my cast and crew, like, I'm still really good friends with pretty much every cast member I've ever worked with, because we felt like we're, war veterans. After sort of, I was like, holy shit, we did this in 6 days, man. You're like my brother, man. We went to hell and back, and so it's nice to have that camaraderie. And I don't know if we shot a Marvel movie in 90 days, at that point, I don't know if the camaraderie would be there as much, because it feels more compartmentalized and a little more clinical at that point. I don't know. I'd love to try, but who knows?
Yeah, and I mean, operating with those smaller budgets, I mean, I think it helps shape your, I keep saying efficiency, but it helps shape your, like, your filmmaker mode when you're on set, because now instinctively you know what calls you're going to make and what you're doing, because you're on a much smaller, you're on a much smaller time period, as opposed to, like, say, a Marvel movie where it's a massive budget, a massive just amounts of people working on set, and you've got like a lot more time to get it done. It's so spaced out. I think working on like that smaller time frame, there's a sense of urgency with it too that could either make or break the artistic experience. Some people want to have more time, but other people, they do better under pressure, and I imagine there's a lot of pressure when you're on that time crunch.
Yes. The pressure can be really bad, but you have to, as the captain of the ship, you try not to show that you're freaking out, like, oh my god, we still got 10 more pages and I've only got 2 hours. How the hell is this gonna happen? You do your best to captain the ship and don't panic, because it's very doable to just kind of give up. And I've heard horror stories of like the director walked out and like the AD had to step in, and that's horrible. But it's certainly, I wouldn't recommend a 6-day movie as somebody's first movie. I know somebody who did do it, but they've been writing these movies for a while, so he was sort of mentally prepared for it. It's definitely not for the faint of heart, and it shouldn't be your first time at bat, because you have to have a language with yourself, an understanding of the movie, and
Right.
and be aware of everything, because you have to have an answer for everything. Do you like blue or red? Red. No, blue, because if you get blood on it, it's gonna look, So there's all this stuff that you have to sort of be, and you're not gonna always get it right, but you do your best to, like being a parent. You do your best to be the best parent you can. You're not always gonna make the right decisions. Like, oh, maybe he shouldn't have had 3 chocolate bars. But it's art. The goal is to take it as seriously as you can, but try not to let it ruin your life.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to word it too. And it's funny you made that analogy with being a parent, because I also saw Joe Dante this past weekend, and I asked him, I was just like, what's your favorite movie you've done? And he said it's like choosing your favorite kid. Like, you can't really choose your favorite. So I think that's a really good analogy for it.
Yeah.
So the way that I bookend, I start with the same question I ask everybody, and I end with the same question I ask everybody. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, whether personally or professionally?
Oh gosh, this business, especially nowadays, is so fluid. This is freelance. This isn't like a 9 to 5 kind of thing. I'm lucky enough to say, I've got a movie in post that's coming out next month, and I've got 2 movies right now that are in early pre-production that I'm writing. One that I'm directing, and one that I'm up for directing. I'm actually, after this, I have to put together a pitch for it. I can't say what that is, but it's a pretty big deal. I could tell you off air, but I can't make it public knowledge yet.
Understood.
It's a really nice place to be at. It's going to be a very busy second half of the year for me. So in 5 years, honestly, I kind of want to be in the same place I am right now. A healthy family, and just consistently working, and being able to, realistically just keep making these kind of movies, and having fun, and what I.
Uh-oh.
Did that come through? Sorry, I think my
No.
AirPod fell out.
Oh no, you cut out there.
Oh, sorry. My AirPod fell out, and for some reason my screen went black. I don't know why that happened.
Yeah, that was weird. It just complete zoom. I was like, where'd he go?
That's so weird. Look.
Oh wow, yeah.
That before, the AirPod comes out and it just kind of goes black. That's weird. Do you want me to restate the question?
I'm trying to think where you left off at. So you said you want to be where you're at now. You don't want that to change. You want family to be nice and healthy. I think it was around there where it cut off.
Okay. Yeah. I'm very happy with how things are right now, and I'm happy to be working. In this industry, I know a lot of people who don't have there's no job security in this at all, but they have no kind of prospects lined up, which is so fortunate. The industry is kind of changing every day. So in 5 years, I kind of just I'd like to still kind of be where I'm at, and having fun making movies, and I ideally, in my dreams, I've got a friend at Blumhouse, and I'd love to sell something to Blumhouse and do something, bigger and better, and at least with a little more exposure than the Asylum movies get. I'd love to do some TV shows, but that's, again, those opportunities are rare, and who knows? They may present themselves, they may not. But it's just sort of the downside of the business is you cannot plan anything out. As much as you want, to manifest or whatever, all you have to do is do the best work you can. Network, get yourself out there. But in 5 years, I'll hopefully be at least who knows? Well, gosh, if I do 2 a year, or maybe 10 movies, 10 movies deeper into my filmography. How about that?
Wow, yeah, that isn't that crazy to think about too, and the fact that 5 years from now is 2030, which is it's hard for me to wrap my head around that. That's
it's crazy. It's that, dude. It's literally like we're living in the future, like in the 80s. This is what the future was supposed to be like,
Yeah.
So it's insane.
Yeah, awesome. So is there any social media, any pages that you want to plug? Anything that you want to, Morgan Killer Doll is on VOD. Just anything you want to push right now, go ahead.
My most recent movie, Morgan Killer Doll, is on all the streaming platforms known to man, which is nice. I think it'll be on Tubi eventually. But Amazon Prime and Fandango at home, whatever it's called now, Vudu, all those, Google Play, you'll be able to find it. I'm really, really proud of that film. I had an incredible cast, and I had a lot of fun making that. Evil Nun, titled TBD, that they changed Morgan on me. It was just called Killer Doll until they wanted to tie it into Megan. Now, it wasn't my idea. It was not my idea. But I hope people look past that, because sometimes I can prejudice people, and I just want people to we did a completely original idea. It's not about robots. Then my Nun movie will be out at the end of September. I think it's September 30th in 2025. Then I got 2 new projects that I'm hoping to potentially shoot this year. So it'll be a busy second half for me, but I wouldn't have it any other way. And in terms of I do have social media, but I don't use it that often. So no, not really any social media to plug at the moment. Beyond the fact that I'm on YouTube as Master Chaos, and we talk movies over there every once in a while, and it's fun to it's fun to build a little community of like-minded moviegoers who enjoy I'm not gonna say cheesy cinema, but certainly the not the pretentious stuff, I guess.
Yeah, it's there's beauty to that, right? Just finding that community, and that's what it's all about.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure talking with you. I'm looking forward to what you got cooking. It sounds like you're going to be putting out a lot of stuff in short amount of time, so definitely got more to look forward to. But thanks again, Jose. It was great.
Thank you, man. It was an honor and a pleasure.